trying to make it all make sense.
The
More.
You
No.
Podcast.
So I've been reading Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, and it's a really interesting book that really just goes over the history of humanity, really from our start as caveman to now. And I was reading this chapter tonight about writing and the starting of writing and numbers and really just the logging information as a whole, storing it outside of our brains. And it started with the Sumerians, and there's two different differentiations when describing written text or language. There's full scripts and there's partial scripts. And so a partial script is something like numbers. So with numbers or a partial script, you can't articulate things fully or tell a story as you can with full script. So full script is like letters. And so with that, you're able to create stories. You're able to articulate things. And with partial scripts, you're able to really analyze and log and deal with information more from a mathematical perspective or a data logging perspective. So everybody is interested with AI and if we'll ever be at the point where AI is going to be competitive with us as far as it goes on the food chain and being top dog on our earth. And with AI, a lot of people worry that eventually computers, technology, they're going to be able to gain the ability that we have with human consciousness. And at that point, a Terminator scenario could turn into play, or we could eventually become some sort of zoo where they control us in that way, or at the end of the day, we become like monkeys where we're just not on the top of the food chain. And I think the thing that really stops that from happening and the thing that limits AI from ever gaining equality to human consciousness is something that has to do with the difference between a partial script versus a full script. So with a partial script that's used for either analyzing information, storing information, understanding information, like binary code in a computer or numbers, that helps with things that have to do with building, money, taxes, analyzing systems, analyzing certain things. But you'll never be able to write a book or tell a story or articulate things and quality in robust ways like you can with full script in writing. And so, like the Sumerians did, where at first they only had numbers, and they would say everything else, tell stories, and explain philosophical ideas more so verbally, and then remembering it, that's really where humans will always have the upper hand. Artificial intelligence will never be able to have the level of consciousness where they're able to have creativity and make connections with God or the quantum experience or the quantum realm or whatever you'd like to call it. Sure, they're going to be able to beat us when it comes to things like calculations and analytics, and there's a lot of jobs that are going to go away, such as doctors and lawyers and truck drivers and accountants. But authors, artists, creative people who are creating and developing this software, that part of the human mind is never going to go away, and that part of the human mind is never going to be beat. The things that have to do with the higher levels of consciousness, the higher forms of consciousness, those are things that you can never teach a computer, because at the end of the day, a computer runs on partial scripts. It can only think of things in partial scripts. You can teach it analytics, you can teach it calculations, you can teach it to store things. But at the end of the day, any forms of higher consciousness that have to do with creativity or love or empathy, none of those will ever be able to be gained by artificial intelligence. They'll never be able to understand those things that were spoken through word by the Sumerians and not written down at first, and things that are of a full script type of a form. So I think that differentiation really helps understanding the limitations with artificial intelligence. Because at the end of the day, they're only going to be running with the ability of doing things on a partial script and understanding systems and analyzing systems and calculating systems. But they'll never be able to really truly create systems or let alone understand the higher levels of consciousness and act with the higher levels of consciousness.
I hope this talk makes a positive impact in your life. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening or watching it, check out other episodes, leave a review, and follow us on social media at More You Know Pod. Also, please don't forget about our sweepstakes. Retweet a clip with the hashtag The More You Know and New Podcast from our Twitter for a chance to win a signed copy of my upcoming book, The More You Know, coming this fall. Tag 2 friends in the comments on a clip on Instagram for a chance to win a brand new copy of Dean Graziosi's Millionaire Mindset or Ed Milet's Max Out. Like us or share a clip on Facebook for a chance to win a book I have read that highly inspired me, signed by me with an inspirational message. Again, thank you for listening as we propel with podcasting through the more you know.
I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
The
More
You
No
Podcast.